Let's welcome in Jay Motty from the Stretford Paddock. Jay, before we talk about David De Gea, and I do want to get your thoughts on it, let's talk about Mason Mount. I mean, this now seems to be the biggest saga of the transfer window. Chelsea rejecting your offers, United saying potentially we could walk away. As it stands right now, what do you think the resolution is? Do you think you're going to get him, or do you think you're going to look elsewhere?
I think we'll probably end up looking elsewhere. I think the Mason Mount deal made sense to me if it was around 50 million quid for a player who is a Champions League winner, is relatively young, and you know has a lot to offer. You think, okay, yeah, I get it. But then when it starts getting towards over 60 million, especially when, from what we gather, United are still on this limited budget compared to some other clubs because we still don't know what's happening with the ownership situation, then you have to sort of say, okay, for a player that's got 1 year left on his contract as well, is it worth it? Especially and I agree with what Aaron was saying there about we need to strengthen in attack. We need a striker. We know that's not going to be cheap, and we need a goalkeeper. So I just feel like if we are going to be taking money away from other areas, then we can't be spending too much money on Mason Mount. So yeah, if it isn't going to happen, I think it's just one of them. It's slightly annoying, but it's not the most pressing issue, getting another midfielder in. We've got other areas that we need to focus on.
Jay, do you think the Mason Mount pursuit is over, or do you think that this is a negotiation tactic from United? It's here's the offer, take it or leave it. We're going to sit back now and just leave it in the air, because Mason Mount clearly wants that exit.
I do feel, and I don't always believe what Manchester United are saying when it comes to things like this, but I think it might be up to Chelsea now. I think United might have said, right, that is it. That's our third and final bid. It's up to Chelsea, whether Chelsea look at it and go, okay, we've got a player who is going to leave in a year. We need to probably get him off our books if we're going to make more signings. I think they're already bringing in other players as well, and he doesn't want to be here. Maybe then they go, okay, we can make a deal. It just at the minute, it feels like United are stepping away from it. And I think as well, if United were to go back in with another bid after all the noise we've made about this is it, the third and final bid, and we're not negotiating, it just makes the club look silly. And it makes the club look silly going into other deals as well, where you take that attitude and clubs go, well, hang on a minute, you said that to Chelsea. So we know that you're always going to come back in with a bit more. So, yeah, I'd be very surprised if United increase their offer. I think it's whether Chelsea are willing to go, okay, look, we may as well sell him now rather than risk losing him in the summer for nothing.
Yeah, it's weird how the Mason Mount talk is starting to slow down a little bit, and all of a sudden Moises Caicedo starts to ramp up a lot, and Moises Caicedo will cost a lot more than Mason Mount.
That's what doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense at all. What do you make of this Caicedo talk? Do you think it's just talk, or do you think there is any truth in United even interested in Moises Caicedo?
It reminds me a little bit of last season. Remember when we were in for Adrian Rabiot, sorry.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we didn't get him, so we went and got Casemiro. And you're like, hang on a minute, how is Casemiro not the priority? Why is that like your plan B? It does feel a little bit like that, but I don't see us spending the money that Brighton want. Brighton do tend to get good money for the players. I know McAllister weren't quite cheap, but I think he had a buyout clause. The sort of figures being touted are around 80, 90 million. Have Manchester United got that to spend on a midfielder when we don't want to spend 60 million on Mason Mount? I'd be very surprised if Caicedo ended up at Old Trafford next season, to be honest with you. I don't see that one happening. I think this might even be a bit of kidology of like, well, look, Chelsea, we're going to go for this other player if you're not going to sell a Mason Mount, a player that you want as well. So maybe that's trying to force Chelsea's hand. I'd take Caicedo. I think he's a very good player. I just don't see him coming to United anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it, with Moises Caicedo, because he's not quite the same type of profile as Mason Mount as well. I know they can both do a bit of both in terms of one, they can both attack relatively effectively and they can both get back and help out defensively, but there are major differences. I would say that Mason Mount technically is at a higher level, whereas Caicedo gives you a bit more engine. So it's interesting to know what Manchester United are after, because to pivot from Mount to Caicedo, and given the price difference as well, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. You're right. And I think with Caicedo, you look at someone, can he play alongside Casemiro? Is he a replacement, a long-term replacement with Casemiro? Or I hope it doesn't happen next season. If Casemiro gets suspended again for a load of games, is he going to come in then? How's that going to work? Are you going to change the system? Or is he going to be rotating? Mason Mount, for me, is a much more attack-minded player, different type of player, though, like you said. If I had a choice, I'd choose Caicedo, but I think the more likely signing would be Mason Mount. But you're right, they are two pretty different players, if we're being brutally honest. One thing about Caicedo, though, he's helped his cause in interest in United in the performances he's had against us. Because whenever I've seen him play against Manchester United, he's just been phenomenal. He really has.
Yeah, Caicedo, look, fantastic player. Maybe Brighton are just overpricing him right now, and it'd be interesting to see what Caicedo does. I remember when he was linked with Arsenal, and he kind of put out that goodbye Brighton. It was fantastic. I love you, but I've got to go. And then he stayed. De Gea, rumours are of a new contract, which look, some United. It's weird. Where do you view De Gea, Jay? Because I speak to some United fans, and they still love him. They like him. 12 years service. Respect him. Yes, he makes a couple of mistakes. What goalkeeper in the Premier League doesn't? And there's some that want him out of the club immediately. Where do you stand with him?
Listen, he's been a great servant. Like you say, 12 years at the club. I think he's been our player of the year something like 4 times or something like that. And there's been games in the past where he's absolutely kept us in them. There's no doubt about that. And he can leave with his head held high. I do feel like it's time for him to move on. I just do. I think you mentioned it earlier. The way we're trying to play, it doesn't suit him. He looks uncomfortable trying to play out from the back. It doesn't suit his game. And also, I think it's affecting his game in other ways as well. I think it was mentioned earlier, he's become sort of more error prone. I'm not saying he's always making mistakes, but he makes more mistakes now in the last sort of 12 months than I've seen him make in about 7 years or whatever at the club. He doesn't seem to quite be the same David De Gea that we've seen from sort of, 2012 to 2018, when he was arguably, for a certain period as well, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. I think his levels have dropped. And I just think that if we are going to move forward and play the way this manager wants to play, unfortunately for David, I think we just need to sort of look elsewhere. And, I think he could leave Old Trafford and leave United with the respect of the fans, because he deserves that.
Yeah. Jay, what do you make of the reports that Manchester United might keep hold of him because they'd better off spending the cash elsewhere? Because that was in one of the papers over the weekend. That would be counterproductive, wouldn't it? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't if you're going to say, okay, we need to spend the money elsewhere, but we've still got 50 odd million for Mason Mount, who's not that essential, I don't think, anyway. Yes, we could do with him, but I don't think it's a priority to strengthen the midfield. I feel like a new goalkeeper for me, if we are going to do what we want to do, is a priority. So that is really strange, the idea of just keeping David De Gea on because we've got a limited budget and we need to spend the money elsewhere. That would make sense if you say, I don't know, say we had 100 million and we were going to spend all that on a striker and that was it. Okay, I kind of get it. You could go, well, look, we need a striker no matter what, so we'll have to get a goalkeeper another window. But I just feel that the goalkeeper has to be up there. It's goalkeeper and striker for me are the two sort of main areas we need to strengthen, because a lot of with the De Gea support seems to be on what he used to do, what he did a few years ago, what he did, in times gone by. And I think if you look at his recent performances, he's just not the player he was. And I think we do need to strengthen there. So, yeah, it's not about the money for me. It's about the fact, is he good enough for Manchester United at the moment? I don't think he is.
Jay, can I play a game with you? I want to ask you about some players that, look, we've been talking about incomings. Let's talk about outgoings now. I want to sort of mention a few names and you can tell me whether or not you still want them at the club for whatever reason. It could just be a case of maybe they're just not good enough. Harry Maguire, yay or nay? Stay or go?
Go. I think it's time for him to move on. I think it's best for all concerned.
Fred.
I do like Fred, but I feel like if we are going to strengthen, we've got a budget, he probably needs to move on now.
McTominay.
Ditto. I don't know whether they'll both go, but I think McTominay, it's time for him to move on as well.
Martial.
Yeah, he's just, injuries have got the better of him. You can't rely on him anymore, so I think he needs to go. All
right, let's get controversial now. Jadon Sancho.
I knew that one was coming.
You know I was coming. I was teasing you.
I knew that one was coming.
I was playing it easy. I was going to get there. I was playing it easy with you.
Give you all the tappings and now you give me
just easy, like bang, 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 and then bang. Go on.
I don't want to sit on the fence here.
Don't
I know
sit on the
this
fence.
sounds
You're
like a politician's answer.
Don't do it, Jay.
If he stayed,
don't do it, Jay.
If he stayed, I'd be okay with that, right? I think there's a player there, but I do feel it might be better if he moved on.
Yeah, because the reason I asked this question, obviously, look, and by the way, all the players there, I mean, look, you sell that lot, there's a lot of money there, because there's been a lot of talk about United not having the money that we're used to seeing United have to spend. I think it's to do with the ownership model, and the Glazers maybe don't want to spend that money because they're waiting for Qatari owners to come in and spend all the money instead. But I guess you get rid of a lot there, and there's a lot of money to be had to then sort of make those moves in the transfer window.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, none of those players are going to, bring in transfer fees of like 70, 80 million or anything. You're not going to get the money you spend on Harry Maguire back. But there's quite a few players there. You can get 20, 25, maybe 30 or 40 million, especially in the case of Jadon Sancho. I think you could probably get 40 odd million for him because it wasn't that long ago. He was a 72 million pound player and he's not been that bad at United. He's just probably not been as good as he was at Dortmund. So there is money to be made there. It's just whether we can move players on because, as you well know, Manchester United are terrible when it comes to selling players. We just never seem to do good business when it comes to selling. I mean, buying players isn't much better, to be honest with you. post Sir Alex Ferguson, but certainly when it comes to selling players, we never seem to get decent value for them. So I'm hoping we can sort of change that and move those players on, bring in some money, and make the signings we need to make.
Right, final one, Jay. And again, always appreciate you coming on, mate. If it ends like this, so again, potentially no Mason Mount deal, how do you think next season stands? How nervous are you in terms of bridging that gap to the likes of Arsenal, City, Liverpool will be strong again? How concerned are you?
I'd be very concerned if we don't buy both a goalkeeper and a striker. I think that's the bare minimum. We need those two. We need those two areas strengthening, and probably some reinforcements in midfield and possibly defence as well. But yeah, if we don't buy a striker and a goalkeeper, then I think we struggle to replicate the season we've just had. I think we won't make the top three, but I'm still hopeful. I mean, it's still only June. I know it's easy to panic, and I've done it myself. There's still a long way to go for the transfer window to shut. And also, last season, we were a bit slower out of the blocks in terms of bringing players in. We didn't bring in some till the season started. So I'm not panicking yet, but I will be if the season kicks off and we haven't signed anyone.
Jay, what if you can only have one, a striker or a goalkeeper? What one's the priority? Which one comes first?
Do you know what? This is going to be controversial, but I think a goalkeeper, you know. And I know people are going to go, what? We haven't got a striker, but I just do. I feel like you maybe get away with playing Marcus Rashford down the middle. And if you don't move Martial on and he stays fit for some games, you can use him. But I just feel like we do need a goalkeeper. I think we need to strengthen in that area. And I just feel like David De Gea is not that guy anymore, unfortunately.
Controversial take. Jay Motty, appreciate you coming as always, my man. Thank you very much. Jay Motty there from the Stretford Paddock. Ooh, a goalkeeper over a striker. We should have said names. We should have said Onana over Harry Kane. I feel like we can get him on again and ask him, Onana over Harry Kane. That's the one, isn't it, really? But it'd be interesting to see what United do